Hello, everybody, and good day. Good morning from an early morning here on the East Coast of North America, where I am. My name is Mike Bean. I'm the program director at CIB, which is your global network, your global research network in the built environment and construction sector. We thank you for coming to this event, Becoming a Better Manuscript Reviewer, and we have a wonderful panel for you today. Really excited about this. I am excited to learn about how to become a better reviewer and provide better feedback. It's always a challenge, I think, and this is going to be a great panel. So we're going to have two panelists, and I'll introduce them in just a moment. They'll speak about 10 minutes. We have a moderator, and I'll introduce her in a few minutes as well. And Stephanie will moderate some questions. I will love to have questions from the group. So as you go through, as you listen to this fascinating presentation, this fascinating panel, please do let me know in the text chat if you have some questions, and I can help ask them or at the appropriate time. And I think that's in about 35 minutes approximately. We would love to hear from you and have you ask the panelists some questions. So that's how we'll run this session. And firstly, I want to introduce our moderator of the session, Stephanie Hall. She is the head of content acquisition at Emerald Publishing. She leads the books, journals, and case publishing programs and has over 15 years experience in scholarly publishing across disciplines in engineering and the social sciences. She was the publisher for Emerald's Built Environment Journal portfolio for 5 years. Stephanie will be our moderator today. And our two panelists, journal editors from some of CIB's encouraged and recognized journal lists. Firstly is Professor Vivian Tam. Vivian is a world-leading researcher for sure when you read her particular bio. She is the Associate Dean of Research and she's also the discipline leader of construction management at the School of Engineering, Design, and Built Environment at Western Sydney University. I know I've read many of Vivian's work over the years. She has an incredible grant record as well too. She also, interesting, in 2007 she was named one of the top 100,000 top scientists in the world, which is an amazing accomplishment. Our second panelist is newly promoted professor. So congratulations, Farzad Rahimian. He is a professor in digital engineering and manufacturing at Teesside University, and he is the journal editor of Smart and Sustainable Built Environment. I should also say that Vivian is the editor-in-chief of the International Journal of Construction Management. So they bring a wealth of experience to this panel, and we're really looking forward to hearing their advice and engaging a discussion with them on becoming a better manuscript reviewer. So Vivian, would you mind saying a few words and giving us some advice for the first 10 minutes, and then we'll move over to Farzad.
Sure, yeah. Thanks very much, Mike, for your introduction. And I'm really happy to share a bit of the experience on how to become a better reviewer from a journal perspective. I'm also very pleased to see some Sydney friends that is in here, which I can see some Western Sydney University and also some of other universities from Sydney as well, which is great. Let me share my screen. Sorry, I'm not allowed to share the screen, Mike. They disabled me.
How about something's happening maybe now, and Farzad.
All right, okay, I can do it now. It's working now. I think you can see my screen now.
It's loading.
Yes.
Yeah,
and Farzad, you are a co-host now as well.
Okay. Is that a presentation mode that you can see?
Very nice. Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. Just a short introduction about myself. Of course, becoming a better reviewer for today is our webinar's title. Before I go into the in-depth details, I want to talk a little bit more of who am I. I'm Vivian Tam. My research interest is on sustainable construction, green building, life cycle analysis, and more into also technology side on the recycled concrete. As Mike also mentioned, I'm currently the editor-in-chief for International Journal of Construction Management, published by Taylor and Francis. I'm also the senior editor of Construction and Building Materials, published by Elsevier with an impact factor just over 6 at the moment. In Australia, we have Australian Research Councils, and I'm one of the project experts. By talking about with the disciplines of construction management, there are only 2 project expert members in the Australian Research Council at the moment. And there's also other information regarding to my funding, publications, and also some of the index and matrices for your information. And as I mentioned, the research background is my focus is on sustainable construction management and engineering. And I start my research in environmental management, focusing on waste management back when I was an undergraduate student, which is because of my management background. When I moved to PhD, I actually go a bit on the technological side, which is on the waste recycling, focusing on the concrete waste, on recycled concrete, and also the mixed recycled material. Recently, I'm working on green building, particularly on the multiple input, multiple output systems. And all of these can also work on the life cycle assessment, which is not only about the cost, carbon emission, can also look into the energy consumptions as well. Since we're talking about the journals, I would also like to highlight a little bit of what International Journal of Construction Management. International Journal of Construction Management is a CIB encouraged journal. And what this journal is to looking into advancing the knowledge of construction management, not only about topic of built environment, but we're also looking into a specific consideration on the construction economics, property law, and risk management. And currently, this journal is a Q1 journal by site score, with a site score trackers in this year, back in last month, is around 5. And we also have a WeChat platform. If you scan that, you can also see all the updates that are from the journals as well. And these are also some of the publications and the citation. You can see the journals start back in 2007. The journal the publications numbers actually are increasing like many times since 2017. That we have increased 8 times already in 8 folds. And every year we increase the doubles of our submissions, and the citation also increased by at least doubles. And we also have featuring some of the most read and most cited articles as well in the journal webpage. Talking about for this topic in how to become a better reviewer. First of all, I want to highlight that why do reviewers need to review? Sometimes we talk about, okay, I'm not researchers, I need to write papers, but why I need to be a reviewer? Peer review actually is a gatekeeper to ensuring the scientific rigor. Like we always, in the journal perspective, we always have the challenge to receive sufficient reviewers' comments. But bear in mind that we do need the community help. And not only about that you help the community, I'll also tell you a little bit more of what else you can be rewarding for yourself as well. First of all, if you have received a reviewer invitation, that means your research has been recognized. Someone has noticed your work in a very positive way. Otherwise, they wouldn't invite you, which is a really great sign. You should really tap yourself and say, really, congratulations for yourself, because your work has been recognized. That's why someone is inviting you to review the manuscripts. And I summarize a little bit of what is the major rewards that you can have. I talk about what is the reviewing or peer review work, but why you need to do it, and what is it really benefit to yourself. There are at least four main items that I can highlight. First is to stimulate what is really the cutting edge topics at the moment. They are the most up-to-date information available for you to read right in front of you. You will really be able to see what is really the most up-to-date information for that particular specific topics that you're currently researching on. And that will really be able to help you. And it's also providing you have opportunities to have an insider's view of new directions, which is talking about the cutting edge, similar as the simulating your new concepts. And when you're reviewing, you also provide an academic and reputational credibility as well. They can give you credits, like different journals, they provide different credits, and which also help you to provide recognitions for your university to recognize those as well. And the main thing is to opportunities to sharpen your own skills as a writer. If you don't read, you will not know how to write. I always tell my students, say that if you're not reading, you will never know how to write. You're reading by learning it for yourself to how to become a better writer as well. Even until now, I still like to read a lot, because reading other people's stuff, you can really tell how you can become a better writer for yourself and to able to help yourself to improving those as well. Those are the major rewards that a reviewers can receive, but not many other channels can receive those skills. And as I say, if you have received an invitation for a review, it's really a recognition. Accept all review. As a journal editor, I really prompt you to accept every single reviews that you have received, not only about all the rewards that you have received from the last slides, but also the editors or the journals actually know that you are reviewing the invitations as well. Most of the journals that we have a database to see how many reviews that we have sent it to you, and how many reviews that you have been accepted, and how many reviews that you have been conducted. We also can see how many of them you may be late or some other purposes as well. That's why it's really, really important for you if you want to ensure your credibility is being recognized. And in fact, because I was a very good reviewer as well when I was younger. I actually giving a lot of opportunities to be editors, and also the same journals that for the construction and building material, which is a Q1 journal, also been recognized as a reviewer for myself, and then I've become promoted as editor, and then further promoted as senior editors at the moment, which is why I urge you, all of you, as an early career, to really accept all the reviews. And the last few slides that I want to highlight is, if you are reviewing papers, try to be constructive. You know how to write papers. That's why they will be inviting you. You know what the structure is meant to be for journals, papers. Then try to be constructive, because they actually really help you to understand how to write an article, and also providing the feedback to the authors that they need those comments as well. And depends on, obviously, you're optimistic or pessimistic. And but regardless, I will say that any comments that are really useful for the authors. And I think you're probably seeing this kind of thing in LinkedIn or some other source, but it's some really information that it will be interesting to see. Like, you know, that when you're looking at the literatures, and then after the manuscript, and after the peer review process, and when it's published, it could be quite different. But doesn't mean that they are not good for you. It may be beneficial for you to really twist your papers to a different angles, or angles that you may never be think of as well. And that's why, going back to the line of become a better reviewer, I also want to highlight being a reviewer is actually very rewarding. It's not only about for yourself, not only about for the community, but more important is for your own research skills improvement. This is the final line that in this 10 minutes quick presentation for you guys. And if you have any information, this is also my contact if you want to contact me. Back to you, Mike. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Vivian. Those are great. Those are great, both inspiring, but also great words for us to reflect on as well, too. Thank you so much. And we'll hand it over to Farzad. And I believe I've made you a co-host, Farzad. And
yes,
there's a share at the bottom of the screen for you if you'd like to.
Okay. So if I run this slide, I'm not so familiar with Zoom. So if
we are seeing your screen very well.
I don't know if I run the slideshow, if it will allow me. Let me just try.
Yes, usually that will be good.
Yeah, so you see.
Yes, outstanding, wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vivian. It's just a pleasure to be with all of you I'm so glad that Vivian covered some parts that I wasn't going to cover. So our presentation will not be duplicating each other. It will be complementary. Thank you, Vivian. Yeah, I'm Farzad Rahimian. I'm a professor of digital engineering and manufacturing. I'm visiting professor in extended reality technologies in University of Florence, and I'm editor-in-chief in Smart and Sustainable Built Environment. I serve as editorial board of some world flagship journals, from automation in construction to other reputable journals like Construction Innovation. Also, I serve as reviewer of some top journals like Applied Energies, Sustainable Cities and Society, etc., etc. My work is mainly on the optimization of building energy performance, use of AI in construction management, and use of extended reality technologies and open BIM for integration of whole life cycle of projects. I made 150 top quality publications, including 5 books and many good journals, but I received also many reputable awards, 12 which I'm always proud. Building Smart's special distinction and innovation of the award from Scottish Enterprise. Not least, my colleague Carla Resindes, she's in this room also, last week received the Futures Leaders Award from Innovate UK. Back to the journal, SASPE is a very, very growing journal. When I received it 2 years ago, it was the Q3 journal size score less than 3. Now we have become Q2 last year, but the size score as it stands now, the tracker is 3 and well beyond a few of the Q1 journals in the fields of architecture and social studies. So I have very big confidence that hopefully next May, SASPE will be one of the Q1 journals, and the performance itself is very promising. Last week, we received the highest impact score in among the sustainability KPIs and among many of the journals, which was very promising. Back to the presentation on just opening some remarks for some discussions about how to be good reviewer. I don't want to go and mention again the things that very nicely Vivian mentioned about the benefits of being a reviewer. I just wanted to share my own experience about how important are reviewers to our peer review sector, and how journals are dependent on this. Journals' reputation purely depends on the quality of the reviews and also the punctuality of reviews. As Vivian said, we cannot afford any people keeping other people waiting for so long by not acting. So as Vivian said, I love the reviewer who reacts very quickly, promptly, says, no, thank you, I have no time in this occasion. And many other occasions, they do the job quickly, but they don't keep one review request for weeks, and they don't act for one review for months. We just want a prompt answer when we invite somebody, yes or no. If I have capacity, I do it. If I don't, then I decline it quickly, and tell ideally who is the best alternative reviewer. Also, I tell why I'm not able, so we take it into consideration. But if I have time, I do it. And again, as Vivian said, we also review. I myself performed more than 100 reviews last year. When I hear from colleagues that they say they are busy with other editorial activities, I think how come they are busier than we are? I'm sure Vivian does a lot of review, I myself do, and many other journal editors, they do review, because I believe if I'm publishing 50 articles a year, I'm really obliged to review at least 100 articles, because if 2 people are reviewing my papers. So mathematically, I'm obliged to review 100 papers, and that's a very normal thing. So I devote myself to do it, and I take every review job seriously. One of the experiences of my own experience in best practice in terms of securing good reviews, I did this in Aknetayjar when I was co-editor of the journal before it joined to Emerald Group, and also in SASPE. One of the things that pays mutually off to both parties is having another editorial board besides the editorial advisory board. We call this editorial review board, which is a common model, but not many journals practice it. Having a longer list of board leading, in the editorial advisory board, we usually have more senior scholars with a lot of experience, which they have completely different role. But in the editorial review board, we have less limitations, and we can take more people on board, and these people become our part of editorial team, so they get a very obvious recognition on their institution, showing that their name appear on a journal. And we make the agreement very clearly in the beginning: you must do at least four quality reviews for us. So there is no excuse for our people. So if they only have 4 reviews to perform, they would just prioritize our journal because they are contractually obliged to this. That pays a lot, and we just grow our list as we go along. Like when we receive other papers which we don't have the expertise, as soon as I invite a couple of people, they do the good review, I just invite them to join our editorial board. And that's a very, very good recognition for an early career researcher. Sometimes I see as soon as I add them, they put a link, a post on LinkedIn saying I joined SASPE, and people come and congratulate. And the people see a return for their support to the journal. And that's something really helps always me securing quality reviews. I don't know, yeah. Okay. Yeah, some tips for reviewers. First of all, please try to be objective. So I myself get very disappointed when I receive some reviews on a paper saying, yes, this is a good paper. No, it's not a good paper. As an editor, I know it myself. I don't need anyone to come and tell me this is a good paper, this is not a good paper. And I know other people also practice this. I myself filter maybe 60–70% of the papers before the review. I don't want to exhaust our resources. So if the paper is not good, I don't send it to review. So when we're sending this to review, we are expecting the reviewer to give some constructive feedback for improvement of the paper. Otherwise, if one paragraph, yes, it's a good one, publish it, or it's not a good one, and that will not help the purpose of peer review. So please spend time, read the paper, and comment on the whole paper. I myself never ever had any review submitted less than 1 page. Sometimes it goes so many pages, and that makes the editors happy. But honestly, it doesn't take much time. I don't spend more than 1 hour or an hour and a half on a paper. Just read all sections of the paper, write comments on about everything I see. And then when I finish, I see I have a long list of comments for the paper, which serves the author to promote their work. And that's in benefit of everyone. Justice is very important. When I say justice, really, sometimes it happens to myself. I feel not so good the day when I open the paper. I don't feel good with. I don't feel well with the paper. I never ever review it. Just always think this piece of work is done by someone. They spend a lot of time and effort in preparing it. So it's so cruel if I just jeopardize their chance of getting published. Just burn somebody's months of effort by not giving true reflection on the work. So don't take things from personal point of view, because many of the journals these days are practicing single blind review, meaning the author doesn't know who the reviewer is, but we know who the author is, in just for sake of clarity. But that doesn't mean that if I don't like somebody, then I don't like their work, or vice versa. So please try to be very fair. Otherwise, if we have that attitude, people also will be giving it back in future as a society. Be context specific. This is something really I always struggle. Sometimes I have to pick up the phone and call the reviewer and have a word with them and return a review to them. For example, now I send a paper to one of my co-authors who published two articles in Applied Energy Journal. Then I send a paper to them for review in SUSPE, with all due respect to SUSPE. Then they come with a reject decision. When I look at the paper's quality is well beyond the average of SUSPE. Then I call this friend and say, why did you reject this paper? He says, it's not good. I say, this person did not submit paper to Applied Energy. They submitted to SUSPE. So try always familiarize yourself with the context of the journal. If you are making a judgment, make it specific to the context, and always think, yeah, okay, if it's better than the average of the journal, then I take it. If not, I reject it. And I do the same exactly for the other one. Like if I receive a paper from Applied Energy, if it's not forward leading, if it doesn't have any very, very significant component, even if I like the paper, I reject it because I know what they are wanting. So always be specific about the journal, and think twice before writing something. Sometimes being too much sarcastic, remember, it hurts people's emotions. Don't think that these people, sometimes, especially when it's double-blind review, we don't know who they are. It might be some person who's making their best effort to publish their first paper, and the paper is not good at all, but the way that I can say it's not good, by giving some constructive feedback, but saying, sorry, the gap between this and a good paper is too far, then I suggest you take on board these comments, but I don't recommend for publication. It's very different from saying, please do a favor to yourself and the academic society and do not write. It sometimes looks funny to us, but doesn't look funny to the author itself. I myself received this kind of comments in my life, and I'm sure many people try not to be one of those reviewers. Always think of the other side of people who are receiving your comment. And that's it from me. My email is here. Thank you so much, and I'm happy for going through the Q&A session.
Thank you, Farzad. Again, great inspiring words, and I think great for reviewers to reflect on, and how they write and provide that feedback is, I agree, extremely important in thinking about who they're writing to. Thank you so much. I think we're going to have a couple questions from Stephanie, who's been listening intently and thinking about some things from her point of view, from the Emerald Publishing larger umbrella point of view. So before we turn it over to the audience, Stephanie, what do you think about what you just heard?
Well, I was nodding along to everything that they were saying, really. I think that both Vivian and Farzad are obviously great examples of very dedicated, thoughtful, caring editors, actually, in terms of thinking not only about the author experience, which I think is so important, really. I mean, some of the questions I had were kind of related to, I suppose, to the process. We talked a bit about, well, Farzad particularly touched on including early career researchers in review panels. And so I had a question really around, I mean, what I find is that in many journals, because we have such a pressure on reviewers, there's so many papers going through, it's a real struggle. All editors will say it's such a struggle to find reviewers. So a lot of editors are having to invite the same people over and over again. Some editors actually like to invite their same people over and over again. And so I wondered what you think about how we can increase the range of people being invited to review, and how we can make sure there's fair and diverse representation in terms of editorial reviewers and boards.
Vivian, do you want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can. Yeah. Of course. For our, we really need a very good database for our reviewers, because as Farzad also mentioned, that we need at least 2 reviewers' comments back for every single paper. And of course, our numbers of submissions also keep increasing. And normally for every author that is submitted to the journals, they will be automatically become part of the database for reviewers' invitation as well. And each of the submissions, we will also be having the suggested reviewers and also the nominated reviewers by the authors. And that is also automatically input into the database systems. And we also have different publishers, but I believe most of them have that. They will be able to also search similar topics with the papers they submitted. Then we will be also be able to invite them as part of the reviewers for that particular papers. And that also help us to increase the database as well. And to be honest, from time to time, I do also receive a lot of emails that they want to volunteer themselves to be the reviewers. Majority of them that they could be early career researchers, which is great because I can see that early career researchers is a great asset because they are willing to, they're willing to learn, they're willing to assist the community, and we always use that as well. I'll leave the second part regarding to how we engage with the early career researchers after Farzad respond regarding to the numbers of reviewers if you want.
So do you want me also say something quick, Stephanie, or you want?
Yeah, if you want to say something to the point around the number of reviewers.
Yeah, I think exactly as you said, I have 2 strategies myself in IJAR and also SASPER. It really helped. First of all, we don't see ourselves role as editor as only somebody just clicking some buttons and sending the paper. I myself review the papers before sending it to associate editors or to review. And depending upon the rejection rate of the target rejection rate of the journal, I myself always try to keep some balance on the papers that I filter myself at my end. Like, for example, now, because of the very high demand to SASPE, our rejection rate is 95%, but 60% out of that I reject on my end. So I don't overload the review process. And the thing is, yes, it's good to have some feedback, but also if there is a paper that I'm 100% sure that it will not go through the process, then it's not fair to our reviewers to spend their time and come and say reject it. Also, it's not fair to the author for wait for 2 months, then get a rejection from me. Let them go and try another journal. So, for example, if there is a local impact paper that I'm very sure that is not suitable for SASPE, why should I send it in the first place? That's what I do. And also, as Vivian said, I receive very, very kind emails from early career researchers devoting themselves, saying, I am more than happy to review papers for you. I always take them with a very high interest and introduce them to our associate editors and ask people to send papers to them. And they get a lot of benefit out of doing it. In some countries, they email us and ask us to give them even a certificate that they review them. That shows how people take it valuable. So that helps a lot. But as I said, my own experience of developing a team of editorial review board, it doesn't matter how big it is. Ours is now about 100 people, and it could grow. There's nothing wrong in having a big editorial review board. Also, more importantly, I also keep my eyes on my authors. When people send papers and I see they have good paper under review in SASPE, it's a little bit cheeky, but it always works. When I send review requests to them, they immediately accept it because they want to. I don't really take it into account. I don't punish people for rejecting review requests, but people think that they have to be nice to the editor. So if they have a paper under review, as soon as you invite them, they accept it. And if they, for no reason, say, I don't want to review, you would question, okay, if this person expect me to find 2 reviewers for their paper, but they don't think that they should review for other people, then something is wrong. And in many cases, people, so I use it as a very, I know some of my associates, fellow associates, they search on the database, but I myself, for the papers I handle, I never ever search for database. I just always purposively go and find people from my network or from in the list of under review papers, and it always helps.
Yeah, that's really true. I think I think that we do see more and more people kind of engaging with the review process and putting themselves forward, and that's really great to see. Vivian, I don't know if you had something else you wanted to say around diversity of reviewers. Yeah.
I want to also say that with this obviously early career researchers channels, not only about we really actively want you to be the part of the reviewers, not only about what we have mentioned, not only about helping the community, not only about helping your research skills, but more importantly, we will also hope that you can engage further for the journal as well, because we do need early career researchers to assist with the journals. I want to give you the examples of what IJCM is doing. I was just mentioning to Mike that I was having difficulties with my Zoom background, and I just sent quick emails to my associate editors, then she's able to help me to solve these issues. That you can see that they are the one that really can help. I was trying to figure out myself, I just can't do it. And actually Chetna is here as well. Chetna is one of my associate editors, so she's able to help me on those, which is great. Thanks very much. I also, on top of that, I want to mention that what are we able to, from the journal perspective, including not only about the reviewers, we also are always inviting early career researchers to assist with the journals. At the beginning, that they could be start with the editorial secretary. Majority of them, they may be still a student, still a PhD students, and they will be invited by me as an editorial secretary. What their role is, I have two different parts of editorial secretaries. One part of them is to really trying to invite reviewers, trying to do them operational stuff, you can say, for the journals. But the other part of the editorial secretaries, they're actually assisting me to promote the journals. Like they know all different things. They know Facebook much more than me in a way, and also other different channels as well. Like at my background, you can see there's a WeChat QR code. You can also scan that on your phone. Then you'll be able to join the communities. Then when we have any updates, you can also do that as well. And these are the main two parts of my editorial secretaries. But obviously, when they graduate, when they build up the experience, they actually know how the journals really work as well, and which is really important for them. And they will be, they are normally be able to promote it further. Like as I mentioned, Chetna, she start with an editorial secretary, and then now is associate editors. I wouldn't have any doubts on that. That should be further promoted. Maybe one day when I'm retired, that someone has to take care of this role as well. And that's how we are training the early career researchers for the future. And that is what IJCM doing with that ECR perspective.
I really like that. That's really interesting, because I think that one of the big challenges as the publisher is thinking about this question of reviewer reward and how we engage more reviewers and how we can make them feel valued really in terms of the contribution that they make. And I think that that's a really good point, actually. It's about that, bringing them onto the journal and working with them throughout and graduating through the different, as they grow in experience of reviews, then eventually becoming editorial board members at some point in the future, potentially. So, and that, I think that's really, really, and you said a lot about that in your initial talk as well. And I think that's really true in terms of actually there's lots of rewards that come with being involved in peer review. And that's, yeah, I think that's really true. Mike, did you want me to ask another question, or do you want to go to the?
Yeah, I mean, I think, perhaps, I know you have a couple of questions. Yeah, maybe one more. I see we have one question in the text chat, but maybe you could facilitate one more, Stephanie, and then we'll go to our text chat. How does that sound?
So this one maybe is for Farzad and Vivian, but also I'd be interested in the comments that come from this, what other people think really in terms of traditional versus newer methods of peer review. So obviously we've talked about how we get people to be better peer reviewers, but we've talked very much in kind of the traditional double blind or single blind review system. So I wondered what your thoughts are on kind of alternative forms of peer review, like open peer review, crowd peer review. whether you think there's value in that, or actually whether you think that actually we should stick with the traditional double-blind peer review. That is there more value in that? Vivian, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, sure. I can say a few words on that. For IJCM is a single blind. That means the reviewers cannot see the authors. Sorry, did I say it right? Yeah, the reviewers cannot see the author details. Sorry, double blind. Actually, the other way also can't see the comments as well. And this way, I feel like it's fairer in a way to help the reviewers to provide the judgeable comments. Because I do hear people saying that, oh, okay, if some of the journals are single blind, then they can see who are the authors, and maybe they are the well-leading one, but somehow that they may not really spend as much time as it should be, and the quality actually is not as good. And somehow because of the names leaning on that and making the outcomes of the papers also different, which I feel like that is not really fair. That means you're not really looking into the quality. And that is the reason that double blind is still something that I'm preferring at the moment. But there's other things that like you can consider, as you mentioned, about different kind of system like open blind or different things that I don't really are fans of anything specific, because they do have pros and cons regardless. It's really hard to say. And as an editor point of view, probably we'll need to move it slowly in a way to see how we go. I don't normally move things too fast because I want to see the changes and whether it is beneficial, rather than just change all in one go, and then you maybe see some positivities, but you may not know exactly whether it is the direct benefits. But you can say kind of sticking with the traditional in a way, but I will not restricting on the modern styles or the modern alternative that we can produce on that.
Yeah, I agree about the not moving too fast. I mean, we've got pilots running with all different types of review to see the level of engagement really, and how much people want to go to a different type of review. Not that much actually. We find people do still value double blind, and it's, as you say, it goes back to the fairness, I think, and not being able to make preconceived ideas about someone because you just don't know who they are. So Farzad, did you want to speak to that point?
I certainly agree with every single word that Vivian said. They are absolutely true. But when I just look at it, I also have some mixed feelings. First of all, yes, double blind is the safest and fairest way, but by double blind, we are missing some parts of the review. Like, for example, when I'm doing a single blind review myself, it is not only about the piece of work. I do my homework about the person as well. And exactly like when I receive a book proposal to review, I don't review the book proposal, I review the person, because the question is whether or not this person is capable of writing this content. In the paper also, like in many cases, single blind helps me. I go and find somebody published one paper somewhere else and very similar content sent to another world flagship journal, then I can't say, no, thank you so much. They can't double, but without knowing this person, I would not be able, because they changed the title, they changed the abstract, it doesn't pick up anywhere. And I'm not allowed to put people's work in Turnitin, and I don't have time. So only way for me just to go on Scopus and check someone. But again, as Vivian said, it depends on the level of the journal, looking at who is performing single blind, applied energy, automation. The people writing to these journals and the reviewers of them probably are mature enough not to be unfair on somebody or go for professional jealousy, etc. But it might, in a little bit growing journals, it might be a little bit different. But in terms of open review, I mean, I had this chat with Gemma a few years ago, and she said, "You thinking of piloting it?" And she asked my idea. I wasn't able to give an answer to her, because as soon as you think of it, you get very mixed feelings about what could happen. It could be quite chaotic, could be really clear process, and and very democratic, if you like. But I think if that doesn't work in the long term, in other way, like when we receive job references or promotion referee requests, we are always told, okay, the candidate will not see this, but they have right to request. Like if I write something very naughty, they have right to request the university, and then that can become a problem. Only knowing that puts people off doing something very bad. So if we have that, if we give that right to the reviewer, to the author, that if they don't like, they see something extremely unfair, one in a year. It's not like I go on appeal against every single review I get. If we give them the chance one in a year to chase up what is written to them, that could maybe a good substitute for open review. But otherwise, I myself would feel very uncomfortable when I'm writing even a good review to one of my colleagues, because when I'm asking them to do some little bit, sometimes my friends, they get my papers from single blind journals and they call me and say, I got your paper. I want to say, I say, please don't send me that review. I will get it from the journal. Do your best. Spend your time, give comments so that I approve. Why do you need to? But some people would really take it personal, and then I get 2 pages of comment from that friend who called me. Then I have to spend 2 months to improve. But I see it's something positive. Somebody is spending their own time to read my work and ask me to improve. When I get the paper, obviously, nowhere is written who is the reviewer, but people see my work with a better copy. But not many people would see that way. So if you ask them to make revisions, they might not feel very well. So I think for that, we are still a little bit, it's still a little bit too early for open review, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Fascinating comments. It gets complicated, doesn't it? Sometimes. And so there's some questions coming in. I'm not sure who would like to answer some of the first ones, but Raja has a couple of questions. The first one is about the philosophical position of some journals. And Raja asks about, are some journals biased to its methodological and philosophical position, for example, qualitative versus quantitative? Not sure, Farzad or Vivian, if you have any experience with that. I know that I've submitted a couple qualitative articles, and I know that journals can be very quantitative, and I'm kind of begging the editor, please find a qualitative reviewer because I'm nervous.
Yeah, I can understand why people are concerned about qualitative or quantitative. But from my perspective as a researcher as well, if the papers are enough quality, not regardless in regarding to quantitative or qualitative, that should also be able to publish. I'll give you a bit of examples, obviously. When you talk about quantitative, majority is regarding to experiments or survey data with sufficient number of responses, that kind of quantitative measurement. That is obviously clearly to show the truth, could be the facts of that from the experiment side or from the true opinion when you have sufficient respondents. That would be the quantitative side. But I wouldn't be concerning about if the paper are very qualitative. Obviously, maybe there's some qualitative analysis, even some of the very good literature reviews like a comprehensive review papers, that they could be also be very qualitative in a way as well. I wouldn't be concerning, I mean, in summary, I wouldn't be concerning about qualitative or quantitative in a way, because as long as they have the significance. When you publish a paper, the main thing is what is the significance and what is your contributions compared to previously researchers did. That is the very important. That will be able to tell you, oh, it's not about the methodologies that you did. And if you write papers, really bear in mind to think backward and think about, okay, what is really the major contributions of that particular paper that you have been written? If you can tell yourself, I'm pretty sure that the reviewers can also see that as well.
Yeah, I think this is quite personal thing, and everybody, every review, every editor, they might have their own style of research and type of research. But as Vivian said, as editors, we are trained enough by our career not to be biased to any. Even when I go for examining a PhD or even reviewing a paper, I always tell myself 100 times, it's not my paper, it's not my PhD, it's somebody else's. So, for example, I've seen in I was director of PGR studies in Strathclyde University. I convened so many PhDs, and it happens like an examiner sits down and argues with the student, why did you choose this methodology, not that methodology? But I mean, and not questioning, it's just like telling them off, you should have. But I always had to jump in and said, just like, this is not your student, this is not your work, just can you please make sure the question is appropriate? So we just think that, yes, it's not my work, so it could be qualitative, could be quantitative. We don't have that bias. But some journals really, the scope of the journal wouldn't accept some kind of paper. If I run a qualitative journal, qualitative research on some perception study of something very valuable and send it to Applied Energy, it will be just rejected very quickly in 2 minutes. So I shouldn't really see that they are biased. They have some very, very specific focus on something, and they are doing very well on that. They don't want to expand that focus. So I myself should also think, and the best way I always say to my students, go and read the journal's papers, and if you think it's not for pleasing the editor, if you think you can cite many, like 5 or 6 papers of that journal, even don't do that, just think that I can, then this is a good journal for me. But if I'm reading a journal, then I have no idea about the papers of that journal, then I submit a paper. Then there is a likelihood of my paper not being suitable for that journal, not because it's qualitative, not because it's quantitative, because the type of work is not suitable for the portfolio of that journal. So it could happen, but in general, there is no, I don't think, and many journals are also aware of this, and they are trying to bring in especially the qualitative research. And we have good enough number of reviewers who are qualitative researchers. As soon as we get this kind of paper, we said, sometimes my fellow associate editors, they get stuck. And they say, like, I send this paper to 20 people, all decline. Do you know? Then I give them a couple of names that I know they would do the review. So they send it and it goes through it. It's not only, we always just send it randomly to people. We sometimes have people's name in our list that if we are stuck, we will go for them.
Great, thank you. We're getting some more questions coming in. If anyone wants to ask a question live, we'll be happy to hand the microphone over to you as well too. But one of the participants says is they're starting to receive many invitations to review, and they are asking, how do we choose which invitations we should accept? Farzad, does this go back to maybe something that you were thinking about? If I submit X number of papers, I should be doing 2X reviews or something like that?
While we are just on call, I received 2 invitations for which I'm going to accept. And as I said, I don't know what this colleague means with too many. First of all, there are some journals. I don't see them, they are journals. Like, I don't want to speak about people's business, but I'm just naming, I'm not naming, I'm just telling one experience. We had a student, they submitted a paper to one journal, which is Q1. Then paper got accepted in 1 week. Then as soon as it got accepted, they asked for $2,000 to publish the paper. We said, okay, well, and we said, don't submit to that journal. They submitted without our name. And they came and asked for $2,000. We said, well done, congratulations, but I'm not going to pay that money. And even if you had free invitation, I would not put my name in that journal. Then this student withdrew the paper. and they sent the paper to another journal, which was our university's contracted open source publisher in Emerald. And guess what? The paper was rejected by the editor at the editor level. And if you ask me, they've done very well by it. So one Q1 journal accepts a paper in 1 week from a first year PhD student, and same paper goes to another journal, which is a Q2 journal or 3, and paper gets rejected by the editor. It tells you about the quality. If I receive thousands of invitations from that journal that I'm talking about, I kindly decline all of them. Although if I do reviews, they will give me some vouchers for, but I don't care. But if we're talking about real journals, how many requests this colleague is getting? And if they get 4, they think it's too much. I don't think it's too much. And as you said, Michael, if this is n times 2, I think this is a reasonable and we should do.
Yeah, I think too, you know, when I received reviews, I just rejected a review. Sorry to tell you folks, it wasn't one of your journals. But I mean, you know, the scope was really out of my field of expertise, and I didn't feel quite comfortable delving into after reading the abstract and considering things. So those are also things to consider, I think. Vivian, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with what Farzad said. Obviously, regarding the journals, like it would be really good for us when you submit a paper, you have a target journals before you write it anyway. And the same thing that you probably have some kind of a target journals as the reviewers as well, which also can not only about ensure the quality of the journals that you are looking at, like what Farzad just said, maybe some of the journals are not really some journals that you want to target at. I think that would be a really good sign. And of course, with Mike, you just mentioned that if the topic is really out of your comfort zone and your scopes as well, like you wouldn't be able to provide constructive comments. And probably there's some issues regarding to selecting you as a reviewer as the first page, maybe some kind of keywords or something like that may not be linking that up properly. That is not a problem for as an editor point of view for you to reject it, because I don't think you can provide a very suitable comments anyway. And that's why I can see that like probably have a target journals will be really good for you, not only about for your submission, also as a reviewers. But when you can submit really a constructive comments, I think those are really useful as well, because that not only about that the paper is relevant to your field, but also be able to help the authors that is similar in your field too.
Thank you. Any further thoughts from the broader group? I know we're closing in on the top of the hour, and I want to respect people's time. Are there any other thoughts from our group? Or Stephanie, do you have any thoughts from your?
No. Do you mean on that point? I think I completely agree with what you just said. I think, and I like the idea that Vivian just came up with. That actually, you think about writing your paper for a set number of journals that you know are suitable for your area of research, and you have them in mind when you're writing. I like that idea of also having that in mind as a reviewer, so that you're not wasting anyone's time by giving feedback that's not actually that useful. Yeah, I think that's really true.
And there's one question coming in about why are the comment is there's very limited journals for construction engineering management. Human factors are neglected more times. I think that CIB has a really good list of particular recognized and encouraged journals, and certainly that list is certainly not exhaustive as well too. And so I think that you know, as Farzad was talking about the different the Q1, Q2 types of journals, and knowing that audience, you know, that's you know, those are things. So what are you reading? I always tell my students, what are you reading and where are you reading it? And there's a reason why those particular journals keep coming back and back, right?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? I know there's a comment about systematic literature reviews as well. There's a couple about that. I'm not sure if that's more from an author perspective, but in terms of, you know, reviewing systematic literature reviews, I mean, from the reviewer side, sometimes I question, you know, how does that review really make an impact? And so sometimes I think about, the Q1, Q2, Q3 and where that article is going to. And I think a systematic literature review really has to make some type of an impact. It just can't be a literature review because that's simply the basis for other work. So I'm not sure what the journal editors think about that quickly.
Can I answer this very quickly? I have a golden rule. I forgot to say, but thanks, Michael. I always have a golden rule in my own assessments for every piece of work. I ask a question to myself at the end of when I read. I say, did I learn something new that I didn't know? In many cases, the answer is no. Then no point of publication. Full stop. If I learn, then this is the point I start thinking, yes, I should consider this for a publication. And that's a very direct answer to that question. Yes, if systematic review teaches me something new, then yes, let's consider. Otherwise, if it's just like bubbling around people's names, years, journal names, no.
Yeah, I have similar thought as well. Not only about, it's not about systematic review or not, or who are written those, is regarding to the contributions again. And like I can't see, that is the reason also going back to Steph also asked that whether we should be double blind or single blind. I think those are also circulated with the same concept of you need to have the enough contributions for publishing papers. It's not only about a well-leading researchers can publish something that may not be really well-leading anymore, but still can publish. That kind of thing. I think those are really the black line that we need to really understand that. And that's why I always like to ask my students that what are the contributions of that particular paper? It's not about that the way that you've written 5,000, 8,000 words that become a paper. It's about what are the contributions from that. And I think that's probably the concluding marks for us in here.
Thank you all so much, and thank you to our participants, and thank you to Stephanie, Farzad, Vivian. Great comments, great insightful. I think that if we go and reflect on your words, I think we will become better reviewers and also ultimately better researchers, and better people contributing to society. And that's the whole point. So thank you for your time and your expertise in this discussion. I really appreciate it. And with that, we will close this session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.